The Red Pill Phone Tap. We finally made it, Anthony. We finally made it to episode number 50. We've got a great show for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about one of the topics. We had a completely different segment planned. We had something completely different that we were doing, and then you just went into your notes. You went into the notebook, and you brought up something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. And because immediately when we started talking about it, I was like getting all passionate about it. I was like, no, we got to do that one instead. That's where I really want to have episode 50 is something really, really red pill related. And this is a really, really good one. What we're going to be talking about on tonight's segment, guys, is we're going to be talking about, okay, your red pill. You finally kind of got it. You've read all the books. You're doing all the right things, right? But now you're living in a blue pill world, right?
Yeah.
You're living in a blue pill world. We were doing the pre-show. You were saying, like, I'm discovering that this knowledge, openly talking about a lot of this stuff, is toxic to blue pill people. You know, and you're right. It's like they're still reading from a script, you know, in life. They know all the right things to say to be accepted at, what were you saying, Anthony? Work, friends.
Yeah.
All these different places. They know all the proper handshakes and sign signals, like everything. But now that you're red pilled, oh shit, that's not how I act anymore. Oh shit, I shared some of this information with somebody that I shouldn't have, and now I'm a misogynist, I'm sexist. I mean, Anthony, talk about, like, when did you notice something like this happen for the first time? Or if it doesn't have to be the first time, but one that kind of sticks out to you. Where,
oh man, it was so early that I was called bitter.
Oh yeah, who hurt you?
Yeah, that one is always the shaming tactic, because guess what? They've been shamed themselves before, so, and
it works on them,
right? So they be like, well, when I was shamed, I got in line and just followed suit. So that's what I expect you to do. But when you don't, and you're like, no, this is who I am. This is not a test run. This is not a theory that I'm trying on. This is how I live my life. And I think people get uncomfortable when someone can be so opposite of how they live their life as far as what they think life should be, that you start to make them uncomfortable when they can't see themselves doing what you do or say what you say. So they kind of like, well, instead of me being uncomfortable, I'm just going to say that you must be off because everything that you're doing is making me feel some kind of way. And they know they can't repeat it in their own life because they haven't made that transition to be able to say, this is how I live my life. I don't give a fuck who agrees with it, because I'm red pill for me. I'm not red pill for anybody else.
Yeah.
So I'm a better person in my mind. Red pill. I'm a better person overall. Red pill. So how anybody else feels about that doesn't affect me. Hell, they can tell me all the reasons I shouldn't, and cool story, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been the opposite before. I know what that got me. I know where that got me. I know where it landed me. And
you're never going back.
I'm never. You couldn't pay me to go back. I think we've had this discussion on, offline before. Like, that's not enough money that you can offer me to live my life in that sense, because once you know better, you can't help but do better. And once you start doing better, you get addicted to being able to do better and be more free in your thought, your speech, your movements. There's no restrictions or nothing prohibiting you to act out and be the best version of yourself that you're continually to become, right? You're not the person that's saying, you know what, I got to get my script for someone to tell me, when am I going to be the best Anthony? How many years is it going to take? What job is that going to be? What my bank account should look like? What car should I be driving? Like, nobody can tell me that. That's for me to figure it out. My happiness comes from within, and me figuring that out, how I am happy on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, annual basis. As long as I'm evolving and doing what I want and achieving accomplishments that I'm setting for myself. We were talking about this earlier, like, what are goals? What are annual goals? If you don't meet your annual goal, does that mean that you ain't shit? Well, your goal,
does it even mean did you fail?
Right, no. I mean,
well, it depends, right? Yeah, I mean,
well, shit. If you have for instance, if you have an annual goal, hey, this year I'm gonna get a house, right? I'm gonna bust my ass and go to work, get overtime. I'm gonna put my head down, and then COVID pop up. Is that your fault, or you ain't shit because COVID happened? You know, there's the things like, hey, I got goals in mind, and if that goal happens, great, I achieved it. But if it didn't, who am I still? Am I still the guy who still want that goal? Of course I am, and I can still do it. I can still accomplish it, so I can move forward and not feel any pressure from any outside sources other than myself. So, being red pill when it comes to having a different mindset on life, it's not necessarily a mindset on life with anybody else involved. Guess what? People gonna be in my life, so they're gonna be involved. But how I view that, how I view my accomplishments, and how I view my relationships with people, that still comes from me, and it's not dictated by other people's perspectives on how that should look like for me.
When you were saying it makes them uncomfortable whenever it's off script. You know, one of the things I've noticed is it makes them even more uncomfortable when you make sense.
Well, because
that's tough on them, isn't it?
Yeah, because they, like I said, they can't see themselves doing or saying what you're actually performing. And there's like, for instance, me being on the phone is like, shut up, bitch. And it's not in that sense where I'm being derogatory to her. It's my conversation. And there's no response that's negative because I don't see it in a negative way, even if someone else does. And if that's how you want to see it, that's your choice. I always tell people, words have the power you give them. And how you receive, like if you give me negative energy, I'll just say, hey, I don't want it. Sometimes I'll receive it because it's like, okay, this is a point where I probably need to feel what this person's feeling. They're in a moment where they're kind of needing, like, do you understand the emotions or the pain I'm going through? And then I take that on and be like, yeah, that's fucked up. I can feel sorry for you in that moment. But if that's every day, I can't do that. I can't take on negative energy all day, every day. Because at that point, you're just draining me of my own energy. So I'll need to reject that at some point.
This reminds me a little bit of, because the world that we kind of live in now is we're not talking about things. We're not talking through thoughts. We just decide who the good guys and who the bad guys are. And then we just get to move, right? In elections in the United States, and for those of you that live outside the U.S., let me just kind of paint this picture for you. In elections, they spend a lot of energy finding out who they can count on to just go vote, actually. A lot of people talk a lot of shit about politics on both sides of the fence, but a lot of people just don't even fucking go vote. You know what I mean? They've spent a lot of time, like, who are the people we can count on to vote? And it's not going to surprise you that the most reliable voters are suburban housewives. And that shouldn't surprise you, because anytime anything a company does that just even slightly pisses women off, what do women do? They powerfully come together and they boycott this company, and this company's got to be like, oh shit, we offended women. Oh fuck. What are we going to do, man? And because women will come together and unite. The companies don't give a fuck about pissing off dudes. Remember that Gillette commercial?
Yeah.
Talking about toxic masculinity. Motherfucker, your whole market is dudes. And you just want to wag your finger and slap them in the nose.
Your
and
entire
make
market.
them feel ashamed for being men. And, you know.
I recently was telling somebody this exact thing about how the NFL has become a market that is a shut up and take it market. It's becoming one.
You're talking about to the players, right?
No, to the fans. Where so much has been slighted in one direction that they're
Take a brief pause here. Happy 50 episode, sir. We just broke out the Weller Antique 107. Is it as good as we remember?
I don't know. I smell it. It was smelling quite delicious.
Oof. But I'm sorry, I cut you off. You're talking about the NFL having kind of a shut up and take it mentality.
Yeah, like here in Houston especially, like, hey, I provide you a thing that you love, and Texas is known for two things: barbecue and football.
I mean, that was completely unscripted. I'm like, barbecue and football. That's what we're known for here.
And if you want to go beyond that, you can say oil, but barbecue and football, those are two passions in this state that Texas is known for. And for someone to say, hey, this is what I'm going to give you, just take it, with no input from your fan base, that is not going to be accepted. Not going to be accepted, at least by me. I've learned. She asked me if I was into football, and I was like, for the last 5 years, not so much. And you know this. You've been through my boycotting the NFL time anyway. So I'm just not into somebody telling me I can give you whatever I want because it's so popular that even if I lose you, I still got somebody else. But you're gonna get so used to getting away with doing the wrong shit that now you're gonna alienate the entire population. And in my city, that's actually is happening as we speak. So
what's weird is that's kind of how the blue pill world is, you know. Look, our ideas don't have to make a lot of sense.
Ooh,
it doesn't have to be based on anything. I know it's as good as we remember.
Yeah.
We're talking about Weller Antique 107, guys. But we don't have to have better ideas. Once we, the suburban housewives, deem you the bad guy, you're out of there. We control this shit. We control the narrative. Hey, red pill guys, shut up and take it. This is how the world is going to be. Because we women say so. And it's not just, even though we women are kind of pulling a lot of the strings, and I'm talking about societal norms, guys. I'm not talking about some Illuminati shit. But with women pulling the strings on what the societal norms are, and then they have an army of blue pill men to go do their bidding, it makes sure it's so. I mean, it's just kind of a shut up and take it. I was when I was talking about the suburban housewife voters. Once you convince them, they come out in droves and vote for you. The big thing they do to suburban women is one party's the bad guy party, or this particular person's a bad guy because he said something sexist or anti-gay. They got to come to the suburban housewives and convince them. And guys, both parties do this. I'm not taking one side or the other. But they have to come to the suburban housewife and convince them this is the bad guy. This is evil. We got to get you out to vote so that you can crusade for good for this country and be a. And we got all these mean patriarchy guys out there, and we got to take them down. Oh, look, he said X, Y, and Z, so that means he's sexist, or that means he's racist. They just got to paint him as a bad guy. And the suburban housewives come out in droves. I remember I've listened to so many hours of Patrice O'Neal coming on Opie and Anthony. And was it Opie or Anthony he kind of considered like, God damn, you fucking hate black people?
Anthony.
Is it Anthony? Yeah. And he's like, God damn, you fucking hate black people. Did that stop Patrice O'Neal from coming on that fucking show?
No.
And talking? No. Patrice O'Neal was like, yeah, I can sit down with a dude that doesn't like black people, and my ideas are better. And I think he genuinely liked Anthony too. Mm-hmm. You know? But we don't have to. The way the blue pill and the feminine, what do they call them? Feminazis. The way they work is, unlike Patrice O'Neal, who's coming on and talking to a guy who says he hates black guys, and I think he was friends with Anthony too.
Yeah.
He can sit down and have conversations and debate back and forth. Patrice wasn't always right either about shit.
No.
I mean, they talked about everything, like movies, I mean, everything. But they can sit down and talk and hash out and may the best idea win, right? But in this blue pill, feminine-centric society that we live in, you got to read that script, Anthony, or you're the bad guy, you're wrong, and you got to be shunned out of society. You know, and that's what this segment is about. I mean, everybody's worried about that, right? Everybody's worried about, like, you're just going to be shamed out of society. You don't get to hang out with us because you're the guy that hates women. And he's over here always talking about this red pill stuff, and getting canceled is a real thing, right?
I was just about to bring that up. I said, remember in Game of Thrones when you were found guilty of some kind of fucking moral crime and shit? It's not that you have to be punished. You have to be fucking shamed.
Yeah.
In front of everyone.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
The High Sparrow sending Cersei
right.
Lannister out there.
Right.
You have with the bell. Ding, ding, shame. Mm-hmm. Ding, ding, shame. People throwing rotten shit, making her naked. Walking through the streets while people are throwing rotten vegetables at her and shit. That's what the blue pill feminine-centric society is, you know? They can't, and by the way, I dare you to get any of these women with their feminist ideas, bring them on this program. They don't hang out and exchange ideas long, do they?
No.
Because they are used to this default thing where you're the bad guy, you're mean, I'm for good, you're for bad, you're for evil, and I've just deemed you're not allowed to call women bitches. We just decided it. Well, why did you decide it? Well, because it benefits us. It's funny how the societal norms just coincidentally benefit women, don't they?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't even call them a name.
Well, you can't hold them.
Or you're sexist.
You can't hold them accountable.
No.
You can't tell them that there's a difference between feelings and facts.
Right.
I'm surprised I was on the phone this long with this person. But you've called me patient before. But
like, boy, that was nice of you to point that out.
But it was. You know what though? When I do have these discussions, I do have a slither of hope that someone's actually listening.
Well, let's tell the audience what we mean by what we just said. I don't want to be too inside.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll catch you on the phone talking to someone, and you can imagine that with the knowledge that you and I have made ourselves experts on, you can imagine that no matter how right we are, just none of the fucking information's taken in because they don't like the information. And I don't want that to be true. So it's not true. I want unicorns to exist. So they do exist. And it's just like, that's not reality. And so many times we're trying to like get people to the truth, get people closer to the truth about what's really going on with our societal norms and our feminine-centric society, that a lot of times I've just kind of given up. It's like no one's seeking information ever. They're only seeking affirmation.
Fact.
So when I hear you on the phone trying to break something down for someone or trying to explain why to this person's face, you're explaining why they're making no sense with what they're saying. That was always my reaction to you. I was like, boy, that was nice of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, that was nice of you to attempt to get them to have some fucking sense in their head. But how many times has anyone ever really absorbed it, right?
Very few, and maybe once.
Like in the history of ever.
Yeah, it's. I was explaining to them this as well. Like, hey, the wanting it to be true versus is it true is very different. Is it true and wanting it to be true? They're not the same. They could be, but they're not the same always. So I even asked the person, is what you're saying true or is it what you want to be true? Well, I know it's true. What information are you using this on? Well, my eyes. Okay, so you have been able to observe every possible situation of what you're explaining. No. Okay, so how can you say it's true? It's only true to you, right? So if it's only true to you, does it make it true for everyone? Has everyone seen what you've seen? No. And you haven't seen what everyone else has seen. So how can you just make it overall one blanket statement as true for everyone? And
yeah, I mean, beat with the suburban housewife voters. People think that I'm being snarky to suburban housewives. Why? Because I said suburban housewives on a Red Pill show. But if we rewind the tape, I didn't say anything derogatory about them. But there's some kind of assumption that's being made that I'm being nasty to suburban housewives because I said that they show up to vote. Nothing sexist about that. Nothing sexist about that. So what's wrong, suburban housewives? And this is where I'll lose them, right here. What's wrong, suburban housewives, with you getting the information that politicians target you? They target you because they know you're dependable voters. They target you with their message, and they try to manipulate you because you're the voters they can count on. They specifically go and say a bunch of shit that has nothing to do with what any kind of laws or anything they're going to do while in office. And this is both parties. They pick out one little nugget that you just get really emotional about. It's usually about abortion, right? Right? That's like I said, on both sides. One side wants no abortions ever, and one side wants an abortion every week. You know what I mean? But they choose that because they know suburban housewives are going to vote based on that. When's the last time, if you're outside of the state of Alabama, when's the last time legislation's been passed on abortion? Fucking never. Well, I guess here in Texas we had they closed down a lot of those Planned Parenthood places.
Yeah.
So you got to pay attention. I'm not saying while they're manipulating you with abortion, I'm not saying you can't pay attention to abortion, you know. I'm just saying that they're probably not working for you a lot, suburban housewives. They're probably not doing anything to better your life. They know that your life's already kind of good and you're kind of comfortable. So all they got to do is just throw out some abortion nonsense, and you guys show up in droves and vote accordingly. And I'm just pointing this out to you so you can be aware of this and dig a little deeper into who. I mean, don't stop voting. That's not what I'm suggesting. But dig a little deeper. Recognize you're being manipulated by both sides because they target you. And I'm just giving you the information.
I was just about to say, there's red meat for both sides. I've heard every election year that Democrats are taking your guns. I have yet to see a law change
right.
about guns, and yet people are running around. They're taking your guns. You gotta go get all the fucking guns because they're coming to get them.
Let me tell you what the other guy's going to say, though.
What?
Because they don't want to think about this shit. They don't want to know that they're getting manipulated because someone picked a hot button topic and made you vote emotionally.
Right.
And you didn't do any kind of digging on what this person's past is.
Nope.
I'm talking about the stuff that counts, like how they vote.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a local election, do all the streets have fucking potholes? But we keep reelecting this dude?
Right.
Because he always says the right mouth noises about abortion or some shit.
Right.
Or about taking guns. No. They don't want to do that work and dig deeper. And I get it, guys. We all got jobs. We all got kids. I get it. But I'm just pointing out that they're manipulating you. And what they're going to say, Anthony, to fight your point, they'll say, yeah, you're right. They haven't taken the guns. And it's because my team kept it from happening.
Right.
Whether your team Republican,
right,
Libertarian or Democrat. They don't go any further. And I mean, what we want the red pill. We were talking about this in the pre-show. Rollo Tomasi was talking about red pill this isn't a sacred text where we've got everything ironed in. I mean, we certainly have a lot of books and texts and things that we pull from, and of course, life experience and stuff like that. But this is never going to be a sacred text where we're ever going to be stuck on one thing.
Like the Bible.
Yeah, like the Bible. Like we expect the world to change, so the red pill community is going to have to change with it.
Right.
What we hope is that it changes for the better. That's what this show's all about, right? It's all about like a space where men can get together and talk about not the fairy tale that the feminine-centric society is painting for you. And some of you have already gone through this, but when you find out that fairy tale is not true, it's a tough come down to earth, isn't it? Well, hold on. I did what I was told. I went to college. I did well in college. I got out of college. I got the job. Everybody told me I got married. I had a kid. I did everything right. Why does my whole fucking world crashing down around me?
You should be happy, right? That's the dream. But whose dream is that?
Yeah. Could be yours. Might not be.
See, when I say learned, this is what I've observed. This is what I'll say. I observed that a lot of times parents teach you what you should do based on the mistakes they made.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, in a way, extend their life through their kid by saying, I didn't do this, you should.
Dude, your phone going off just then just gave me such agina because I had a company phone at a job that I hated one time, and that was the ringtone. Oh man, that was just such bad memories coming at me. But Anthony, because you and I were talking in the pre-show, we have two completely different approaches when it comes to the logistics of dealing with people when they find out you're red pill, right? They're like, oh, and you get that uncomfortable silence because the things you're saying are making sense, but I think the default setting for people is like, well, if this made so much sense, we would all think this way, right?
Yeah.
You know, like they look at you like they got stuck talking to like a flat earther.
Well, I think they're confused that what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah.
Can a flat earther make sense?
Well, see, dude, it's kind of like listening to like, what were those people that would always traveled around? The Mormons were like always on bicycles and short sleeve button down shirts and ties. Jehovah's Witness is who I'm thinking of. But if you sit down with Jehovah's Witness, they're so prepared, right? Mm-hmm. They're so prepared that you're like, wow, I don't understand. I don't really have an argument for this, because someone sat down that was very skilled,
and yeah,
and they wrote down a script, you know, and these guys have learned the script, and you know they've worked at this for fucking like a century, perfecting it.
Well,
and when it didn't work one time, the guys on the bikes would come back and be like, hey, man, they said this one thing. I couldn't come back. Oh, all right, cool. Let me write that down because I'm going to have something for you this time next week.
That's exactly how that happens.
And that's going to be bulletproof.
I had a friend who became a Jehovah's Witness. He was trying to recruit me and shit. And during the time, I was like, you know, I'm open-minded with religion, so I'll see what this is about, you know. And then what I was realizing, I was like, they won't even accept you as a member until you show a level of commitment. So all these guys going out doing all these knocking on the doors, that's part of their commitment to show that they are, you know, in it for real. So you got to learn a lot of this stuff before you can even they accept you into the church. And it's like this initiation thing. And I think it's the same thing with guys who are listening to like a guy like me and you. If me and you went into a room full of blue pill guys and me and you just start having a conversation, just between us, do you think those guys would disagree with us on things?
My experience is almost never.
Exactly.
Almost never.
When it's time for them to have the same conversation on their own, that is when the uncomfort mindset or the I can't say that out loud in front of other people.
Oh, and we're going to get to that later in this segment.
So
I can't say that out loud.
That's a moment where they realize, like, either I need to shut this person down because what I said earlier, they're uncomfortable that they can't say and be who you are in your comfort and how you're portraying what you're saying. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and literally, Wesley, 15 minutes, nothing but red pill conversation between him and I. Didn't know the guy from Adam.
Really?
And we chopped. I said, you know what? I'm going to throw something at him. He threw something back at me. And I was like, well, shit, I agree with that shit too. Here's an example. Here's another example. And this is how this plays out if you do it this way. And he was like, you know, another way. And he'll throw one back at me. And it's like, it was beautiful. It was like synchronized swimming. we was in sync the whole time. And it was beautiful, man. And I was like, you know what? This shit felt good to talk to a complete stranger and have a red pill conversation, and no babies were killed, no puppies died, the government was still up, you know what I'm saying? No women were harmed in the conversation, and we was able to continue living our lives. And you know that's the thing where it's sad for me to, I guess, observe guys have struggle with red pill conversation when they feel like they can't live up to the conversation that they're having with someone red pill when it goes beyond talking to someone that's red pill.
Well, and this makes, because we talk about this all the time, having men only spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people equate it with like racism. You know, because in in the United States, guys, we used to have like, you know, these Jim Crow laws. We used to have segregation where black people had to go to different fucking schools. And, well, I'm just saying, I mean, there's still a lot of racism. I'm just saying, boy, were they out there with it back then.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a thing we don't want to regress back into. And so women kind of steal the glory from a lot of these movements because men-only spaces is not... You're not being discluded. Men just need to fucking just be with guys sometimes so that we can kind of have, you know, what we're doing with this podcast. Men need to be able to do that. Men need to be able to get together and go, hey, man, so when you got divorced, you got screwed in the divorce like that? Well, hey, wait a second. These laws are not fucking good divorce laws. You know what I'm saying? But if there's a woman in the room, you can't have that conversation, right? Because here comes the argument, here comes the shaming, and then again, it's about facts versus feelings.
Yep.
Well, I feel like he shouldn't have cheated. Okay, he did cheat. Yes, that is wrong. But you can't take 85% of his money and the house and blah, blah. Listen, I know you're hurt, but that's not how the fuck this works. You don't get the death penalty for running a stop sign. You know, we were talking about Jehovah's Witnesses earlier, Anthony, and I think the big difference between Jehovah's Witness and like the red pill community, they've got a bulletproof, we've heard all the objections script, right? What you and I are talking about is open thought. I mean, you were just talking about synchronized swimming. Mm-hmm. He's got a thought, you got a thought. You guys are two men. Share in a male space, sharing men thoughts. This is just open dialogue. This isn't some kind of conjured manipulative script, you know. But let's go back to the blue pill community for a second, Anthony. That's all about scripts, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's all about scripts.
It's about narratives because it gotta sound good. It can't just be a good idea, or
as
a good
you
script.
Famously say, the Church of Sound Good.
Because, it's about how women feel when they hear the things. When me and you break down conversations or ideas or theories, whatever it is, we're tossing back facts, and sometimes it's our own personal feelings. But do we get caught up on how you feel and how I feel? We can feel differently about something. And I'm not going to get caught up on how you feel about it, but women will. Women will get caught up on how you made them feel versus the actual words you used or said.
Then they hit the argument tree.
Oh,
yeah.
Goddamn.
If you can point out 99 million men that got wronged by divorce laws, and even though it's 99 million cases, women think they are playing 3D chess and they got you in checkmate if they can find one motherfucking example.
All it takes is one.
Yeah, one example of and then they think they've shut down. They're like, ha ha ha, check. It's like, it's not checkmate, bitch. If all of you are doing this, you know what I mean.
I was talking to a chick just today, man, and I told her this, and it was kind of a throw at her inability to accept reality, but she didn't. I said, listen, I think I don't want to tell you any more statistics because I think you kind of hate those. So I'm just gonna go beyond that. And
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. I'm like, even those statistics are facts. I know you don't like those facts.
That's what I said. I know.
Let me think of another way to communicate this.
Yeah, because she was saying something. I say, yeah, statistically that's not true. And then she said, it's true. Yes, it is true. And I said, well, what statistics are you using to back that up? And she said, it's what I see. And I was like, well, okay. What percentage do you think you see amongst the world? And she was like, it's not about the world. It's about what I see. I said, okay. So it only matters to you. She's like, yes. And I was like, that's all I need to hear.
Yeah. Only matters to you. I mean, this is, this is where the blue pill and the red pill community, this is, in my opinion, this is the biggest difference. Is that is a community of reading scripts. I remember Jordan Peterson, and he bogs me down a lot when he talks about religion. Jesus Christ, man! But he does. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. He has
solid,
some really rational points.
Yeah.
But I remember one time he was talking to someone, and he just flat out told him, he's like, just if I'm just being 100% honest, I don't find you very interesting. And she's like, well, that's a very mean thing to say. And again, got to make him the evil villain,
right?
I mean, in the blue pill world, like when we watch all these Marvel movies and shit, especially Black Panther probably had the best villain in there. The best villains are the ones that are like really complex, right?
Yeah.
They're not just pure fucking evil. You know, Loki's another good example of a good Marvel villain. And the more complex they are, the more entertaining the fucking movie. You know what I mean? One might argue that you could change the title of the Black Panther movie and just call it Killmonger.
Yeah.
You know? Because the movie's almost just as much about him as it is about T'Challa. And it's one of those things where when you're a mature person that likes to think about shit in different layers and shit like you and I do, that's what we like. But with these blue pillars and these feminine-centric people, they can't graduate past the cartoon He-Man. Evil Skeletor. We don't really know why Skeletor is evil. He just for the sake of being evil, he's evil. And when Jordan Peterson, he said, I don't find you very interesting, to this girl that was interviewing him. And she's like, why is that? Yeah, that's a mean thing to say, Skeletor. And he says, no, if I ask you how you feel about one thing, I know how you feel about everything.
Everything, yeah.
Where are you at on abortion? Okay, that's where you're at. I know how you feel about everything. Because you've got the I feel this way about abortion script, and you're just going to read down the list how you're supposed to feel about everything, right? There's not let's take a controversial topic like abortion, for instance, Anthony.
Oh, we still going.
I know, but we can't be afraid of this. And I'm not going to take a side because I don't have a side on abortion. But you should be able to listen to people rationally. Hey, I have a problem because, it's a living thing right now. Well, I don't think it is a living thing right now. Well, let's talk about it, right? And you probably won't get to a definite answer, but you'll get to a deeper truth, right?
Well,
just listen to people, man.
Well, shit we can't see is a living thing.
We have stuff all over our skin,
right?
Like we think of the human body as like we're just like ourselves. We're actually like a community of organisms.
Exactly. Facts.
And it's one of those things where it's like you can even agree to disagree and respectfully listen to somebody, like listen to their ideas. But what you're going to find with a lot of these blue pill people that just read scripts their whole life, they don't really have a lot of ideas. They just want the right answers to the test so that they can function in society
and
never be slapped on the hand
and show somebody, look, I passed the test. I said the right answer.
Yeah.
Not that it makes you happy. It's just that you provided the answer that everyone expected.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes you content with who you are, or do you even know who that is? To me, red pill isn't a answer. One answer is true for like the way you live your red pill life is different from mine, right?
Well, that's very obvious. Yeah.
So, how do you say that red pill is a one answer fits all? It's not.
Yeah,
it's not. But when you live in a blue pill life, it is because you're on the script.
That's so well said.
So everybody that's red pill that's living their life have their own script, but guess what? You control the narrative of your own fucking life. That's what being a red pill is. Being able to say, you know what? This is what life is. This is how I view it. This is what will make me happy in the life that I view. And this is what I'm going to do to achieve that happiness or to be content, whatever it is. However you want to live your life. Hell, if being in your home alone, being what they call MGTOW monks, and never wanting to date women again, and just live your life as a man, and not have to worry about relationships with women, if that's your red pill life, so be it. Who am I to judge you to tell you that that's wrong?
Right.
Just like if I was to say, I'm never going to be in another relationship ever again. I'm gonna fuck these hoes, but that's it.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be in a committed relationship. That's not the life I want to live. You can't tell me that's wrong. Just like I can't tell you that you being in a committed relationship, red pill, and living your life the way you want to live it is wrong. Because you're out here in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It is how you perceive your happiness to be, but you understand what it takes to be happy, being who you are, knowing the manipulations of society and the opposite gender that you're communicating with and relating with when it comes to, the social dynamics between us. But
well,
I'm not,
and I want to get into the specifics, because when you and I started talking about this, I was like, all right, we got to start recording, because this is, as we've kind of laid the foundation for this segment, this is more kind of the open part of this conversation. We live our red pill life very differently, you and I. You were pointing out that I'm very open. I'm always open for open conversations. And things have kind of changed. I'm kind of turning the valve. I haven't turned the water off, but I've turned towards off. The water's not coming out of the hose as fast as it once did.
Everybody can get it. That's how you used to.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is more of the open portion of this segment. I kind of felt like if I believe this, I can't hide it. I'm not going to be a coward about this.
It's not. Go ahead.
Well, no. I mean, this is the open part of the conversation. That was kind of my mindset. Is I didn't want to pretend. I didn't want to wear a blue pill disguise. And
I don't see it as
underneath.
a disguise. I see it more as a. So I'm playing this game called Civilization, and in this game they have secret societies that you can either become a part of, or you can actually you find all these different secret societies, and you can decide which secret society you're going to be a part of. And anybody who's not in your secret society will say that, oh, I see the mark of evil upon you. But if y'all both are in the same secret society, they're like, oh, I see that we share the same insight on life. We're family. Yeah. We're family. Yeah. And
maybe me and a couple more of our group could go down to the Capitol and stop this session of Congress.
See, I wanted to stay away from that shit.
Yeah, we got to stay away from that. That is far too polarizing.
But one of the things is, because think about, the family that I consider you guys family to me. Our listeners that we know, our loyal listeners that are listening, and we check up on each other weekly, if not every other day. So I consider you guys family to me. This is something that we've, had.
We thought it was something that just you and I were creating, but it ended up being we all kind of kept creating it together.
Yeah.
We'd have one regular listener jump on, and there'd be another one jump on. And I think it evolved into something a little better than we even expected. Because what we're talking about is most people we encounter that just read from a script and their ideas are predetermined, we actually, and most of the time when we try to give people information rather than affirmation, they're just like, no, plug me back into the matrix, plug me back in. Now we have an audience where we're actually able to get some of this information out, and it even challenges our ideas.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh, okay, we're not just saying the same He-Man level, watcher, He-Man cartoon watcher. Like now everybody's kind of getting smarter together, and then we got to transcend to another level. That's why, Donovan Sharp, the way he approaches this is he says, oh, I'm sorry, not Donovan Sharp, but Rollo Tomasi. They're like, oh, okay, I've been red-pilled now. I kind of see the world how it really is, how feminine-centric our society is. What do I do now? And they're just like, keep learning more. Unplugging these what does he call them? Average frustrated chumps?
Yeah, AFCs.
Unplugging these AFCs from the matrix is hard work. Trust me, you don't want any part of it. But that's the sign of a good man, right? I learned this amazing fishing technique, and we can catch more fish and we can eat more. I want to show my boy this shit. And so that's why I'm kind of passionate about this topic, because...
No, I don't want to listen to what you said. My daddy taught me this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm passionate about this topic, because we see this happen so many times where we even had a listener that I think he went and told one of his parents, hey, he's listening to these red pill guys. And we just kind of get marked as some kind of weird fringe cult or something.
Yeah, like you're manipulating people.
Yeah.
Like you're some kind of... And the thing is, man, groupthink is good in sports, I guess. But when you're talking about your own individual life, groupthink isn't the best way to go about living your individual life, right? Like,
well, I have a personal story with this, man.
Okay.
And I had to learn. I had a couple people. I always, and this will show you how egotistical I am. I always kind of thought of myself as a wise person for getting lots of different advice from people.
Oh no.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm sitting in the Oval Office, surrounded by my
chief of staff,
and I'm like, okay, all right, China just moved an aircraft carrier a little further east than they usually do. All right, chief of staff, Admiral so-and-so.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? And then I get everybody's opinion from around the room. And then I go into a room by myself as President of the United States, and I navigate how to keep all of our Americans safe. And this was just a Tuesday afternoon. That's how I'm thinking of myself in my own mind, by asking people for advice. It's like I've got this staff, and of course they know, they're my little staff underlings. I'm the president. And I'm going to go into a room and decide the fate of the world by myself. That's kind of how I would always think of like asking for advice. What ends up happening, and when you really do that though, you are giving people permission to think they're smarter than you if you're constantly asking them for advice. And then they start kind of giving you advice with like a little pat on the head, give you some milk and cookies, put you to bed, that kind of shit. And the higher and higher that they think they are above you, you're going to start getting shittier and shittier advice. Because now they just think you're an inept person. They'll give you the advice like, maybe just go meet a girl at church. And I'm just talking about dating. You know what I mean? Just go meet a girl at church. And you start to find that your rank in the tribe is going down, and it's because you're asking for all of this advice.
Yeah. Well, you have no self-confidence. You have no idea where you want to go. And you're looking for advice from a lot of people to ask them what you should do with your life. And they don't have to live with those decisions. So giving you some bullshit is like, oh,
no problem. Right? Yeah, giving you some bullshit is no problem to them. And, you know, we were talking about before how we have two different approaches to Red Pill. I'm like all out there with it because in the back of my mind, I don't want to be a coward and wear a blue pill costume, right? You're more of I want to kind of sit here by myself and kind of roll this over. You don't like letting people know what you're thinking. I mean, that's how you've been since day one, since I met you. You don't like, I mean, you are overly protective of showing your cards at the poker table. You're like, I do not want people to know what I'm thinking. I don't want them to know when I change my mind. That's just how you roll in life. You know, I'm a lot more loud and proud about what I'm doing, the direction I'm going. So we approach it two completely different ways.
But that was learned. I learned to do that.
Yeah.
Because I was the same way like any other guy who learned a new way to fish. I was like, hey, I don't know if y'all heard. There's a thing called a net that'll help you get the fish once you get it closer to you, and you don't have to worry about it jumping off the hook at the last second.
And this is what Blue Pill would do. Here goes Anthony again talking about these nets. I mean, I've never had a problem catching fish in the past. Yeah. I don't know why we need all this new shit.
Yeah.
All these new nets Anthony's talking about. I mean, yeah, because you would have to, for you to take Anthony's advice, you'd have to humbly be like, I'm wrong. I need to be a better fisherman. But for a lot of, especially blue pill men, especially blue pill alphas, by the way, they're really bad about this. That would mean that they're wrong, and they've been doing shit wrong, and they can't handle that shit. You know, they really can't handle that shit.
Well, that's why it has to come from someone that has a high level of respect about you as a person.
Right, and that's what I think is awesome about our community. You know, I can go into our community and say, I don't know this, or I'm not good at this, and then we can get real advice. Now, the larger our community gets, human behavior is going to take over.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a pecking order, and
right.
I've been looking for that in our community. I'm like, I know the human condition though, and thankfully, I haven't seen that up to this point. It just seems like everybody in our community, on our Discord and stuff like that, they're super respectful.
Yeah,
they're genuinely trying to give people life advice to better that person's life, not to as we say on the scripts, not so they can just have the right answers to the test.
Yeah,
listening to people's life, giving specific advice, not some kind of one answer fits all. I mean, you remember when you and I were in a Corey Wayne group?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my motherfucking God. I will tell you, I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm really glad we did it because I didn't know how lost some men are. I really didn't.
You didn't. I remember this.
I was like, oh my God. And it was just, there was a lot of like, Corey Wayne has all the answers. It was becoming very cultish.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you and I talk about Donovan Sharp as being one of the most important guys in the Red Pill community. You and I also observe he's a bit of a narcissist.
Yeah.
But I would still have a beer with him.
Hell yeah.
But he's not somebody that we worship. But no matter if he's a narcissist or not, he's still one of the most important guys in the Red Pill community, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And listen, I've got flaws too. I just admitted to you that I was the president of the United States in my own mind. You know what I mean? So I mean, we all have flaws, but I am really, you know, as we hit episode 50 here, I'm really proud of the small little community that we've built, where it really does feel like guys are trying to help each other.
I used to worry about how small it was, but I enjoy the intimacy of it because, again, you lose I'm too embarrassed to talk about my faults shit.
Mm-hmm.
or how these guys gonna think about me. They're gonna fucking annihilate me. I'm gonna be a new meme in the fucking group because I expose myself. That just doesn't happen with us, and I enjoy that a lot, man. It's one of the things that we really don't have to police the group because
and the group we're talking about, the Corey Wayne group, that was oh my god. That looked like angry villagers with torches and pitchforks.
You know what? I've never see that was that script shit though.
Yeah,
that was the script shit.
100% script stuff. You had to be reading directly from Corey Wayne's book. That was now their new Bible, and you know
they were worse than your English teacher asking you for fucking references. What page of Corey Wayne is that?
I could not go in this group without my works cited page.
Exactly. You F. You failed. And that was one of the things where for me, I knew that existed because I kind of been dealing with talking to people, red pill, even just hinting at red pill. And people kind of just be like, the fuck are you talking about? And because it may make a woman uncomfortable, it became, well, we shouldn't. I don't know why you would say something like that. You must be bitter. You must be a misogynist. You must hate women. This is the things that you would hear from men now, right?
Yeah, they don't have better ideas most of the time. It's just attack the messenger.
Well, because one, they can't.
Because society. Listen, there are a lot of smart women out there, Anthony. But I remember one time I made you laugh because you were talking about some great opening lines via text and like dating apps and stuff. And I gave you this compliment. I said, I love those opening lines because it's forcing women to do something that they don't do a lot, and that's think. Now, before you get all insulted, I want to tell you it's not your fault that you don't think a lot. And let me also tell you, because we have the stats to back this up, more women are graduating college now than men, and I think it's getting into the double-digit percentages.
Yeah.
So this is not to say you're incapable of thought. And I'm not even saying it's your fault that you don't think very much. Society doesn't require you to think a lot, do they? I mean, they don't really require women to think a lot. They get to hit from the women's tee box, not just in the golf course, but at work. They get away with shit that men would never. You think about the tantrums that women throw at work that men would never get away with. And it'd be like, well, you know, we don't want an HR incident, you know. And it's just, I mean, you were going in a direction just then. I mean, this is my direct question to you. Can women participate in red pill conversations? Yeah, I know.
How?
That's not an easy answer.
Participate how? Yes, participation can be, I'm here, but when they can't participate.
They can't do the women's argument tree. They got to actually discuss ideas. They can't. Who hurt you? Okay. Well, oh my God. Who hurt you? What the hell? You know, and they think that they're playing 3D chess when they're saying the dumbest shit. I mean, these women can't debate ideas, most of them. And when we say women, guys, as a disclaimer on this show, everyone here knows we're talking about 74% of women in the West. And when it's much, much higher than 51%, we're not going to do a disclaimer that not all women are like this, okay?
Right.
No. We're giving you the percentage. Yes, there's like 26% of you that are very different. And every woman right now breathed a sigh of relief that's listening to this, right? Like, oh, he's not talking about me. What is that Chris Rock joke? That Chris Rock joke where he's like, women are like, women ain't listen to a song in the club, women ain't nothing but hoes and tricks. And they're like dancing to it and like, what the fuck? They just said women ain't nothing but hoes and tricks. He ain't talking about me. He ain't talking about me. No, we are talking about a lot of you, though.
Well, it's always a selective choice to align yourself with something that's been said out loud about your gender, right? What's a tell for me is when you become emotional about it. That means it has touched you in some way, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be associated with it because it is true and it exists. You just wished it didn't.
Yeah.
And you wish that men didn't have that view or aspect about it, because now a lot of times you wasn't expected to
think. I mean, that's what it is, though. You've got this woman's technique of what do we usually call it on this show, where it's like a verbal chess.
Yeah.
And like, oh, this move's always worked for me. Who hurt you? Now I'm going to go to, not all women are like that. Now I'm going to go to, even though you're talking about 99% of mammals giving birth to live young, I'm going to bring up this platypus, though. And then pretend like the majority and overwhelming 99.9% majority of mammals give birth to live young. Women, when you bring up the platypus, you're not getting us closer to the truth. You're exhausting the exchange of ideas. That's what I'm trying to say, Anthony, is when we're asking, can women be in red pill environments?
No, not successfully.
No, I don't think so either, because they just haven't been in the mental gym, right? They haven't been in the gym working out those muscles to like have free.
And that's important,
thoughts.
right?
It's very important. I mean, shit. We didn't come out with a podcast because we read a chapter of Corey Wayne's book, right? I mean, we had to be very prepared, because someone's going to listen to this podcast and someone's going to act on what the fuck we say. Not to get political, but words are important, aren't they?
Yeah.
Words are important. There's a responsibility we have to our listeners. If we care about them.
Not only are words important, right? But because there's a thing about when we talk to each other, there's not a I'm trying to be right conversation, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm sharing.
And it doesn't mean we're not emotional.
Oh, of course.
Because you said something to me the other day on the phone that made me take a hard look in the mirror. You were like, "Hey, you were giving this advice to this other person, but look what you're doing." And that's hard. That's hard to have those kind of conversations. But I've been in that gym with you where we're exchanging ideas fast and furious. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to it. For someone that's hanging out with people just reading the scripts all day, you know, that disingenuous, oh, hi, your hair looks so pretty, you know, and just, you know what I mean? Where like words don't mean shit anymore.
Right.
Because everyone's just reading the fucking, walk up to coworker at water cooler, tell them their hair is pretty, move on to other coworker, ask them what they did this weekend, you know. True story, I was hanging out with someone who is still friends with their old boss, and it's a sales team, right? And it's a sales team that kind of partied pretty hard and stuff like that. They spent a lot of time outside of work with each other. But this guy was so crippled, Anthony, because he had hung out with his employees for so long. This motherfucker would, like, talk some shit that ain't fucking cool. Like, we were just shooting darts. And by the way, sorry to any of our fucking national dart champions out there. I think darts is like a step below He-Man cartoons. You know what I mean? You're just throwing a fucking dart on a board. It's not, you know, we're not exactly, you know, studying the 3-4 defense in the NFL or anything.
And I play darts better drunk.
Yeah, it's not a sport if you can play it better inebriated than you can sober, right? But this guy had become so crippled because he hung out with his employees and he could get away with talking shit. And he told me, he's like, God dang, man, you kind of throw a dart like a homo. And first of all, that is no longer acceptable in the year 2021. to be like, because you're gay, that means you're less athletic. But we'll move over that for the sake of the story. But more importantly, you can't go up to a guy, whether he's heterosexual or homosexual, and call him a homo.
Yeah, that's those fighting words.
That will get you physically tussled up quickly.
Yeah.
But he was just so used to hanging out with his employees where he could just talk a bunch of shit, step over the line and shit. I mean, who the fuck you talking to, dude? I mean, that was a record screech. Who the fuck you talking to, dude?
And just at that point,
he was showing me a bunch of videos of his son playing football and shit. And I was like, because your son's an athlete, you think you are now? Or like, what's going on here, dude? Like, and it was like, well, who the fuck are you talking? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to give you an insult about thinking you're an athlete to kind of slow myself down from grabbing your fucking throat. Dude, don't fucking talk to me like that. But this is what I compare. This is how, like, women in society, they can just say, not all women, and win the fucking argument. They can just say, you know, bring up one platypus example. They can just say, well, you just hate women. That's another one, right? I don't know if I have the women's argument tree written down. If we've lost that,
yeah, it
needs to be up on the wall.
Is episode 2 or 3?
Is it? All right, I gotta write that
I want
down.
to say it's 3 because I remember thinking in my head that the tree was episode 3. I think I remember saying.
I'm going back because we need to have that like framed up on the wall.
Yeah.
So we can show you, ladies. We know what you're going to say before the fuck you say it. I mean, because you know what we were talking about the abortion thing earlier. Let's sit down. Like when is it reasonable to think that this is a living thing, and when is it not? But do we want a society full of children that were unwanted? And we can start to peel back the layers, right? Because, Anthony, I like the abortion thing because that's one of those where, like, neither side of that argument is clearly right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a long, layered, complex conversation, right? And it's like, there's so many layers to it, but nobody wants to have the conversation. You're Skeletor or you're He-Man. Mm-hmm. That's it. Don't agree with me on abortion? You're Skeletor. You're evil. And it's like, man, that's not how we get better. Right? But some people don't fucking care, I guess. They just want the whole world to be in just a static state of people hating each other, right? That's kind of where we're at in this country, right?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about where we are in this country right now.
It's just a static state of people hating each other. And for anybody, I mean, send us your emails. I mean, because we'll actually have conversations with you. We won't make you the enemy just because you're a woman. But we've had the conversation on this show, Anthony. Before you think this is a sexist show, we say we're the real feminists. We're actually holding women to the standard that they say they want to be held to.
Well, that's the thing, man. They want to be held to a standard that's most convenient to them. Not
right. In the moment.
Not overall at all. Just, well, I'm not equal here. I want to be equal there.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well,
I don't want to be equal when the check comes for dinner.
No, not at all.
I don't want to be equal
all
there.
All of a sudden, tradition matters. Now these old school things matter.
Take your last name. Let's stop all that traditional shit. Let's stop all that traditional shit.
Women, you know what's a side note here? All right, and you're not out here, Wesley. Good on you, but women fucking shaving their hair down to being bald or barely bald, man, it's making me cry right now. Like, I don't understand why women are wanting to fucking shave their head down. Like, it's
because they don't think they should have to be attractive for you. And you better deal with it.
Fuck that. You can be attractive for yourself then, because I don't see a woman looking like me or close to me attractive.
Well, let me tell you this, though. I have seen attractive women with very short hair. Who's that girl that's in Thor Ragnarok?
I'm not saying it don't exist. I'm saying I don't prefer it.
Well, yeah, but I know you prefer that actress in Thor Ragnarok. Her hair is short in this show that's coming out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm Googling it right now. Just give me a sec. God, what is her name, Anthony? She's in a lot of movies.
What does she look like?
Light-skinned girl. She plays Valkyrie. Tessa Thompson. And mind you guys, I'm talking about Tessa Thompson. I get it. That bitch could probably tattoo her face and still be hot.
Yeah, but I mean, anytime you talk about actresses, I mean,
I know but I'm just saying, I've seen it. Like, look at Tessa Thompson here. She has short hair. Mm-hmm. She still looks like Tessa Thompson, though. She's a fucking hottie.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw her in this recent show. It's a time period piece that she's about to come out in the show.
Halle Berry was the first to come out with Bob, right? With the shaving down Bob with the, I don't know what to call it. They call it the Harry Berry. You know what I'm saying?
Really? I didn't know that this was okay. Is you talking about her hair in Boomerang?
Was it Boomerang? I'm not sure. But Halle Berry is always when she had that short hair, women would go to that shit, and it's like, well, Halle Berry can get away with that though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bitch, you know you ain't Halle Berry. Calm that shit down.
Yeah. And then but I think when they can't be Halle Berry, I think that's when they're like, well, fuck it. I don't feel like I should even have to be attractive to men. And again, this is what I was talking about earlier, when people are just giving you bullshit advice.
Well,
because they're not the ones laying there in bed all by themselves at night with nobody to cuddle up to. You know?
I was having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about how there are subtle things that women do that turn men off that they don't realize. And having
that would be a good fucking segment, by the way. I'm writing that down. Think subtle things women do to men that turn them off.
One of the things that me and him both agreed on is like having dogs in your profile photos. Having multiple dogs as a single woman. Me and him were talking about it, and we both agreed that we equate having multiple dogs to kids. Like, that is in addition to kids, because that is a responsibility that you have outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Neither one of us are animal haters, but on some level, there is a pause moment. And it's not all men. Hey, there are men out here who loves fucking animals all day long and don't see a problem with it. I'm just saying there are some men who see that as a pause.
And also, it's kind of like crazy animal person. Like, there might, and I'm always open. I'm always open-minded on everything, everybody. But there is this thing where once you get more than one dog, I start kind of shaking my head at you. Just have a dog, man.
That's it.
I have a dog. It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Gotta fucking take care of that dude his whole life. Not particularly. I mean, I inherited this dog from my wife. I like larger dogs because I want the dog to be a major sentinel for the household. Mm-hmm. Shit goes down. I think children need to be around big dogs as part of their development.
Right.
So that they're not like scared of dogs. And yeah, exactly. But we got this one little bastard. I don't want to fucking add one. When you add, I mean, my parents, Anthony, last time I was at their house, my parents had, let me count this for you, 11 animals.
Oh my gosh.
6 of them are dogs.
Oh, hell no. You got a fucking farm.
I mean, you have a farm, but you don't have a farm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a farm, but you ain't got no farm. This is a fucking house in a subdivision in Sugar Land, Texas. And it was just like this, because my brother was like, I got to go by and, feed the animals. I was like, oh, okay, this will take 5 minutes. No, sir. Not when it's 11. You got 6 dogs, fucking 4 cats. And you know what? Let's just create total chaos and put a fucking parakeet in the fucking story. You're constantly trying to keep the parakeet from getting eaten by the cats. And
I'm about to say, it's a whole Tom and Jerry episode.
But it's just like, the moment I saw all those animals run around the corner, because like someone walked in, it was like, these people are fucking crazy. What are you doing, man? Every little animal you see, you got to fucking bring it back to your crib? Get out of here. And I guess, and there's obviously a scale, but when I see people with 2 dogs, I kind of do a little, why'd you have to have more than one dog?
Right. That's a lot of animal you got over there.
Yeah. The big turnoff, though, and women still don't know this, the big turnoff is talking about how many dudes you slept with. It's just, I want that out there. I know you didn't come in a virgin, to this dating situation we're in. But, I mean, I'm talking about Anthony. They are oblivious. They will openly talk with you. Oh, God, I had a hoe phase. It was crazy. Wait, I'm paying for dinner for a bitch who had a hoe phase? This isn't what I want my life to look like. What the fuck?
Well, what we are thinking is, this is what she's admitting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But we're also saying simultaneously, we know there's probably more truth.
Right.
But we also have to listen to people when they tell you about themselves.
Exactly.
Had a hoe phase. Women are just unaware, Anthony, that the more men they sleep with, the harder it is for them to have emotion when sleeping with their, someone in a relationship. Because that's just another hot dog that's been thrown down that hall. You know what I mean? We should do a whole segment on
hot dogs and hallways.
Hot dogs and hallways. I don't know. I mean, as we kind of close the segment, I mean, so that these guys can be armed when they hit the streets. I mean, how do you go to bed, Anthony? I mean, you told a great story about having like a synchronized swimming exchange of information. But there must be times where like you experience, the pushback.
I'll give you a perfect example. When again, we talked about when you're excited about getting new information that helped you realize that you had the light bulb moment, and you're like, this is exactly what I was doing wrong, and this is how I fix it. Wouldn't it be awesome if all guys knew how to fix this before it happened? And what I'm realizing in my infinite wisdom, no, I'm just joking, but in my time on this earth, sharing information and kind of just what you were saying, planting seeds. Some would say planting seeds. I would say that if you talk red pill, that you say, this applies to me and how I see my life.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. This is great. I mean, this is something they could take tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got some, and we call this in sales canned speeches. It's not right. This isn't a script per se, but when I'm asked about something, and we'll just, because we both worked in air conditioning, right? Mm-hmm. If someone asks me like what a coil is, I kind of have a canned explanation that I've kind of worked on over a bunch of years that kind of helps them understand it better. It's like a canned, in sales, you also call it an elevator speech.
Yeah.
If you get stuck on an elevator with somebody, by the time you get down to the first floor, you better have wrapped it up.
Right.
Right. You got a quick little go-to. I like that, man. I like that. So you're like, this is how it works for my life. Mm-hmm. And boy, is it accurate. It's not just a great technique to help it be more palatable for them to kind of receive the information, but boy, that's accurate as fuck, right?
Well, the thing about it is that when you try to stuff everything in one, well, this is what men should do. All men, right?
Mm-hmm. And this is the pushback we get from women, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying all women, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they can't get past it. I don't know. Maybe we have to transcend. No, fuck them.
I was just about to say, I was like, no, man, I'm not gonna, think about me. I'm the most, impact, what do you call this shit? Empathetic person on the podcast. So
yes, you are.
If I say no, fuck that, no, man, fuck that. We're not going to switch up because other people's feelings get hurt. We can't do that. If we start being who we are because of feelings, we might as well shut down doing this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I would tell you is like, hey, and you can't go into talking red pill without living red pill your damn self to a conclusion, right? Not just a theory of, you know what? I think life would be better if every guy did this. Because then they don't give a fuck about your theories. They're like, how are you successful doing what you do? Because I want to actually do that too. That's when you're able to kind of like, be more specific, talk about certain things in particular, about what you've gone through or what you're doing currently and why is it working for you. People will listen to you when they see the success in your life, right? Like if I see Wesley, you're like, hey man, you have a whole fucking safe of cash or fucking...
Yeah, man.
You got hundreds of thousands fucking dollars. How did you get to the point?
Let me give the listeners my address.
Right. How did you get to the point where you can put thousands of dollars in a safe at home to have access to for getting shit you want?
Because I hate banks, man. I hate them. I don't trust them hoes.
And that's cool, but I still know you use banks. I know you still use banks. So I want to know, how did you get to this point? Like, these are questions that'll start happening when they see how the success is being laid out. This is why being on your purpose matters, because now you go straight into what you talked about earlier, canned speech of my purpose. The only reason I'm doing what I'm able to do is because of my purpose drove me to it. And that's how I was able to be who I am and why I'm able to do the things I do, say the things how I say them, and live the way I want to live based on the relationships I build with people, male or female. I'm red pill. I'm more red pill with men than I am with women.
What's weird is over time, like when I first came to the red pill, and and I was like very active dater and stuff like that. And I guess there's just a particular kindness in my heart, kind of like that fishing story. Mm-hmm. Like, man, I'm having such a great go at this. I have such a good life now. I was doing everything wrong. I don't want other people to suffer. Like, I have this kindness where I'm like, I want you to have this info too. I don't know if it's because I'm becoming more nihilistic about people just not, again, people seeking affirmation, not information. Maybe I'm becoming more nihilistic, but it's like nowadays, if you don't agree with me, I don't care. I just shut down. I'm like, okay, cool. Live your life. I figure live in misery. Go home to a wife you hate, to kids that you have no say in how they're raised. And you better not make that wife mad, because you won't ever get to see your kids. You're the fucking clown at home. Oh, Dad, shut up, Dad! There's even commercials of children acting like that to fathers, and no one says a word. Let me tell you what would happen, though, if they were treating mom badly in a commercial. That company would be fucking boycotted. And that's the feminine-centric society we live in. So where I used to be, Anthony, I used to be so loud and proud about this. Now, and now I have the benefit now, too, of not just having you, but we have a community of people that we're kind of sharing ideas with. Now I kind of only talk about this shit with people I trust. Really and truly. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of where Rollo Tomasi is. I'm like, how do we navigate? Like, what do we tell people? Well, and this is Donovan Sharp's coaching. He says wait until they come to you at like a really low moment and they do exactly what you just said. I'm lost, man. How did you do this? How do you keep this shit going? Like,
right.
You always got bitches around. You're killing it at work. You have a great life. How do I do this? And then and only then, you still have to tell them, well, look.
This shit don't come together overnight.
Yeah, and you also have to give them a little bit of sugar with the medicine.
Yeah.
Well, this is what works for me.
Right. You gotta make it seem like it's unique, right?
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of acceptance that comes with it, that things aren't what you thought they were. Even when you knew something was off and you couldn't put your finger on it, I'm going to grab your finger and put your finger on what's actually off, right? And now you
that was aggressive. You're like, what?
And now I'm gonna
make sure you're in a public place when you ask Anthony this advice.
Goddamn.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab your finger and I'm gonna place it somewhere.
I think this is the perfect time to end this. Shout out to Weller 107.
107 Antique. Yeah. Antique 107 rather.
This is exactly what I was thought was Weller 12. And,
me too. As soon as I tasted it. It has
this apple.
Yes.
Cinnamon.
But it's like an
fire.
Apple. An apple that you've cut and the white part of the apple, the center.
Yeah.
Well, not the very center. You guys know what I mean. But it's like apple that doesn't have skin on it.
It's like the pink part of the pussy.
And like Anthony said, that's where it stops and this is where it starts. And I think what Anthony is trying to say is that love is blind. Well, as we end.
Oh, man. Hey.
As we end here, that is dealing with the blue pill world around you. As we have an incredible football game on in the background. Jesus Christ.
You don't know what to expect when you listen to an episode of The Red Pill Phone Tap.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey.
We will see you guys again really, really soon with some of the segments we talked about here tonight. And look us up online, redpillphonetap@gmail.com. Look us up on our Discord. Look us up on Facebook. If you have any problems whatsoever getting in more contact with us, getting in our groups, getting in our Discord, just email us at redpillphonetap@gmail.com. And until then, thank you for enjoying another episode of
The Red Pill Phone Tap.